Well, how's everybody doing? This is Bob Gums, and this is the Concerned Forum. And one thing I want to say, just a little housekeeping. If you like what we do, if you like this particular show, because I also come on YouTube, and if you like what you see and hear, please tap the little thing where it says, like, dislike, blah, blah. Greatly appreciate it. Because what we're trying to do, we are trying to do something here. I don't think it's been done too much. It needs to be done. And this is the opportunity for us average Americans to put our 2 cents in. I like to refer to this as the working person's meet the press. Now, you know what's going on. We're in the process of possibly replacing a president or condoning a president for his illegalities. We'll see what happens. We'll see if the Republican Party has something called backbone. Like I say, we will see. Now, I have a good show today, very good show. I have some folks from the Bernie Sanders campaign, and I want to get a chance to, kind of pick their brains and see how they feel about things. And I'm going to let each one of these young people introduce themselves.
Well, hello there. My name is Luis Ordonez, and I am a resident from West Harlem, born and raised in that community.
Yeah, me too.
I am a graduate from City College
Hey!
with 3 majors of political science, history, and Latino studies, and I've been involved in Bernie in 2016, and he inspired me to get more involved in politics. He brought attention to my community and people, especially my community, the people of color, and that politics is not just for the certain 1% people, the person really well connected. It's about everybody having an opportunity, and that's what really got me involved. And at the moment, I'm representing Bernie in my congressional district as a delegate. I'm running for delegate in his campaign.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Maria Ordonez. I'm Luis's sister. Yeah, we're siblings, and I'm also running for delegate in Congressional District 13. Right now, I'm a student at Columbia University. I'm studying political science, and when 2016 happened and Bernie came out, it was the first time I felt inspired by a candidate, and I was in high school, so I couldn't vote. Now I'm 20 years old. So this is going to be the first time I'm going to vote for a presidential candidate, and I'm proud that I'm a part of his campaign. I'm running for presidential delegate in Congressional District 13, and I'm doing everything I can to get him elected in New York State, because we need someone like him, because like Louis said, he's really speaking to the working class people, to people of color. He brings a renewed hope that we've lost through the Democratic Party, either because our local politicians aren't serving us enough, our state, federal, all the way through all levels, we just feel like we are not being heard and our vote is not being counted. Even though we vote, we feel like there's still a little bit more left, and I feel like Bernie's filling that gap and making us feel like finally we're having our representative democracy.
Okay. And this young person here?
Okay, I am Louis Cooper, and thanks for the compliment on being young. I was a Bernie Sanders alternate delegate in 2016. A lot of the delegates formed a Bernie organization called NYPIN, New York Progressive Action Network, and together with the Democratic Socialist of America, we formed New York, on the steering committee of New York Labor for Bernie, and the 2 organizations are strongly behind that. And I met Bob here, and the rest is history.
Okay. Well, as far as myself, well, as you know, I am the producer, host, creator of this Concerned Forum. And for the sake of transparency, I was a huge advocate for Bernie in 2016. I feel very strongly about him in 2020, but I was looking at the possibility of being a delegate, but maybe I didn't follow through with it as I should, and the reason being, I'm at the point now, I want to see which Democrat winds up being on top of the heap. Okay? That is when I will go and support a particular person. I don't care if it's Bernie, I don't care if it's Bloomberg, I don't care if it's Warren, I don't care if it's Joe Biden or Buzek, or I was Mayor Pete, okay? Doesn't make a difference. And what I'm concerned about, because my politics is very much in line with Bernie Sanders, but in all honesty, as a sane human being, you thought I was going to say as a Democrat. No, as a sane human being who happens to be an American, I will support anyone that I think can go up against the orange disease. That's what I refer to. One of the ways I refer to Donald Trump, because a disease he is. He is a disease to the American body politic, and people need to recognize that. Now, we were talking earlier before we started to roll. Trump is a cheat, and he is a liar. And I'm very concerned that sitting around talking about the candidates is, I don't want it to see wind up being academic, because I believe that you're going to have so much. The KGB, I know they don't call themselves that anymore, but they're still the same group, right? They are going to be working overtime to do everything they can to interfere in our election. We know that now. You know, folks tried to say in 2016, oh, well, that's just Hillary and the Democrats crying spilled milk. No. We have, 17 military and civilian intelligence agencies. I used to be assigned to one of them, DIA. They all came back with the same thing. The Republicans are working to make and keep Donald Trump as our president. And that's what I'm afraid of. That this guy might say, well, if Bernie wins, for example, oh, well, I'm president of the United States, I cannot let our country go into the hands of a socialist. All right, that's going to be his main war cry. Once he gets Bernie elected, see, his plan is to dirty up Joe Biden as much as possible, which helps Bernie, and then once Bernie is the nominee, then he is going to work on destroying Bernie and those of us that want him out of the White House. So that's what I'm afraid of. And I don't think, as I was saying to these folks earlier, I don't think it will be a military takeover, because the military can't stand him. But I am afraid that what Trump will try to do, he will try to use civilian police, he will try to use the same type of people, for example, that killed all those poor people in El Paso, Texas, or who murdered those Jewish people in the synagogue in Pennsylvania, or the same type of person that killed all those black folks in the church in South Carolina. These are Donald Trump's. That's a large part of his base. Okay? So that's my first question to all three of these folks. What will Bernie have to say about that? How are we going to keep our election fair and honest?
Well, he's fighting to take out corruption out of politics. He's actually the only candidate that has the greatest number of individual contributions. So his campaign is all about taking out corruption. He is the non-corrupt candidate right now that's running.
Right.
Everyone else is taking money from millionaires, billionaires.
I get that. But what I'm saying is, we have the election. It's November 3rd. Okay,
Yeah.
we wake up November 4th, 5th.
Yeah.
Boom, Bernie wins. Donald Trump says, no, I am not going to go along with this vote. You had millions of illegals that voted. I'm not going to let socialists take over the United States. I don't care what the election
You know what's going to
says.
happen there?
What happens?
everyone's gonna come together. We're gonna rally. We're all gonna rally to DC, and we're gonna protest that. We're all gonna be there with our posters, screaming, with media, with press, telling them that that's wrong because Bernie won fair and square. Because I believe, and I think that we all believe here and support Bernie, that Bernie can win fair and square. And if anything like that happens, like it happened in 2016, some messed up thing where the delegates were treated as second-class citizens at the convention, that can't happen now because now we're stronger than ever.
We got the people. He might have the money, but we got the people. We got the people power.
Okay, now what happens? Okay, so we understand now that you folks feel that if Trump loses the election to Bernie, but he doesn't want to go, you are calling for a massive people's movement to march to D.C. to demand that he vacate as is legally mandated by our Constitution.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, I go for that. Now, if Bernie does not win, okay, our convention, and say the nominee is Bloomberg, or say it's Biden, we want to know, the American people want to know, are you folks going to do what many of y'all did the last time around and just turn your back on the system and let Trump, take over?
I'd like to answer that.
Okay, please.
What it's looking to me right now, first of all, Bernie is surging. We are getting so much support. All the polls are showing us winning all the early states practically. There's a lot of momentum that we're building up. And Biden's looking a little bit shaky right there. But when you get to the later states, when you get to the South, when you get to the Midwest and the West, where there might be a little more conservative, Biden might have a little more support there. So it depends on how this momentum builds. If we get that early surge going, it could, be overwhelming. If not, it's probably going to be a close election between Bernie and Biden. That's the way it's looking to me right now.
You mean a close convention?
No, a close election.
Primary.
Close primary.
Yeah,
Close, right, exactly. Close
people.
primary. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. No, good point. Close primary. So when in June and July, we'll see how things shape up by then. By then, we might have so much support that they're not be able to stop us. So it's really looking good for us right now. I mean, winning those first two states, you get a ton of momentum going. We're ahead in Nevada. We're in California. We're killing them in California.
Yeah,
That's the
I know.
biggest state with the most delegates.
Yeah.
All right. The one state that Biden had pretty much sewn up in the past a few months ago was South Carolina. But with the support of 7 black state legislators, I mentioned on our last program, Bernie has narrowed that gap. Bernie in the high teens, Biden in the low 20s, the last I looked, but it's still changing, and it's changing rapidly. And plus, you got a lot of volunteers down there, and hopefully we can begin to change that. If we win South Carolina, Biden's in real trouble, I have to say. It looks like Bernie could win this thing. This thing could be over very, very, very quickly. Right now, Bernie's sitting in the catbird seat. He's doing very well.
Well, I tell you, from my observation, and like I say, at heart I'm with Bernie, but there's no Democrat in the front ranks that I would have a problem with as far as voting for to go to the White House. Biden, I think, has kind of let a lot of people down because it seemed when this whole thing first came out, Biden should have been much stronger. See, he should have slapped back and keep slapping back and keep slapping back hard. Now, here goes another point. We know the Russians and Trump, they want to see Bernie be our party's nominee. They want to see that because they feel that Bernie is such a weak national candidate that they'll take him easy, right? Biden, on the other hand, Trump, as you know, has nightmares at night about Joe Biden. So the question becomes, why are we going to fight for the candidate that the Russians and Trump want to see the Democratic Party lead with, as opposed to the one that the Russians and Trump are afraid of?
I think we have to separate two things. One is we're in the primary now.
Okay.
And if actually on Monday is the first caucus in Iowa, so the first votes are about to be cast.
Right.
But we're in the primary now. That's separate from the general election. In the primary, the Democrats will choose who their candidate is,
Right.
and and by June or July, we might know that, and certainly by July, the end of July, when the Democratic convention is, on the first or the second or the third ballot, or however long it takes, we will definitely know who the candidate is. Then, whoever that candidate is, and by the way, if it's Bernie, he's going to have to reach out to the moderates who support Biden and the others.
Yeah.
And if it's Biden, he'll have to reach out to the progressives who support Bernie. So, whoever it is can't take for granted. As you pointed out the last time around, some of the Bernie people went over the Greens and didn't support, in the struggle against
Somebody
Trump.
pass me that phone.
Thanks, man. Okay. The modern age that we live in with the cell phones, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
part of the fun.
I keep my eye out for one number in particular. That's why it's still on.
Right. So, that's what remains to be seen, and and we'll definitely need, now Bernie, the knock on Bernie that you mentioned, I think before we spoke with him, that that they threw the election to Trump. No, Bernie went to 8 states. He did everything that Hillary in her campaign asked. He campaigned like hell for her. He wanted to get her elected. I was going to vote for Hillary. I couldn't do it because I had a problem with my polling booth there, which I made a complaint to the Attorney General. But that's another. But that's another story. But so I would have voted for Hillary because we got to stop the fascist Trump, and that's what whoever the Democrat is, I will. This is my personal thing. It's not my group. I'm not speaking for the group here. But for me personally, I would definitely vote for whichever Democrat wins,
Well,
and go for. And I hope, and I know the majority, the overwhelming majority of Bernie people, I think, would probably agree with that.
Okay.
The
now,
majority. But the same thing holds with Biden. Hillary said she just made a statement she wouldn't vote for Bernie.
Well, let's put all that
back
on
Bernie.
the side
Wouldn't
right
back Bernie.
now.
So it's a two-way street on that.
Okay,
It's
well-
not just the onus shouldn't just be on Bernie. The onus should be on Biden as well. Will his backers come out if Bernie wins? Will his backers come out and support Bernie against Trump? And that's important.
Well, looking at the statistics, okay, from 2016, it would appear that all the folks, and I'm not letting anybody off the hook, in the African American community, especially in the upper Midwest, you need to be ashamed of yourself, okay? Also, in parts of South Philadelphia, because I was in South Philadelphia campaigning for Hillary after she won the primary. And all you folks that stayed home, okay, you cannot complain now. You cannot cry because you had the opportunity to do something and you didn't do it. And I'm warning you, for your own sake, don't make that mistake again. Same thing goes for the white working class in Pennsylvania, because I ran across many of them with this nonsense about, oh, well, I don't like either one. Americans, especially low-income Americans, of all colors and nationalities, it's time to grow up. It's time to put on the big boy pants and the big girls' high heels, okay? This is real life we're talking about. What is Trump doing right now? Well, he's waiting and working for this whole impeachment crisis on him to pass so that he can work on taking away Medicare, Medicaid, so that he can work on killing food stamps, all right? All these programs that all Americans of all colors need, he's working on taking that away. When you gave that guy the opportunity to come into the White House, all right, by either staying home or listening to that phony crap that the Russians were piping through, and unfortunately, some of these little far left parties, like the Green Party, for example, and for transparency's sake, I was a member of the Green Party for about 4 years, okay, until I just did not like the direction they were going in, and I dropped out, okay, and went back to the Democratic Party. But listening to things like folks like that, listening to the propaganda, and what you did, you allowed the Russians to actually come in and play with the numbers, because anytime you leave it up in the air, right, that gives the opposition a chance to, play around, to add shades of doubt. And that's what we did in 2016. This country cannot afford for that to happen again. That's why I'm doing this particular show at this particular time. Now, I promise you all out there that one thing I will do, I will use every waking moment that I have to plead for unity. That's why I did make a big deal about running for delegate in the area that I live in. Because it's more important to be there for whoever the party picks as the nominee. And I warn you folks in the DNC, don't screw it up like you did in 2016. Keep your nasty mouth comments to yourself, all right? Talk about Trump. Don't talk about these folks that support Bernie, okay? Now, I will support Biden in a heartbeat if he is selected to be our champion. But we're not going to have you talking down up to Bernie's people and making all kinds of nasty comments, because that's another thing that caused problems the last time. A lot of you folks in the DNC, you're working within the mainstream Democratic Party. You think you're safe because you have a job. Keep losing to Trump and the folks like him, and see how long your job lasts. And the best way to ensure the longevity of you being in politics, of being useful in politics, is to support the party's nominee without the nasty cracks. Because all you do, you provide that weakness. And I know from my days as an intelligence person, the Russians, they thrive on that. Now, what I just said just now, what do you think about that? Do you think I'm right?
I think, yeah, we should support them. Well, I personally think that Bernie's going to win the primary. Bernie, I think he has the best shot to beat Trump. I don't think anybody else in that field has a shot at beating Trump. And to be honest, I mean, I don't know if people will agree with me watching, but Bernie's going to win Iowa, and I think Bernie's going to win New Hampshire, and that's going to give him momentum to win every other state out there in the United States. Bernie will be the nominee. That's my prediction. Of course, this will not be decided on round one in the National Convention, but it will go to round two, where we will have to fight until because they're going to try to find something to make sure that Bernie doesn't get the nomination, and we're going to have to fight as a whole, as all the delegates there and all the people outside the convention. We're going to have to protest and fight until we get the nomination, because I know we will win by the people.
Well, see, here goes the thing. And see, this is the problem. Yeah, you go to the convention and you support your guy.
Yeah.
But this business is about fighting. If it looks clean, okay? If it looks like it was a clean battle, and what's the name of the lady that's running?
Warren?
No, not Warren.
Klobuchar.
Klobuchar. Yeah,
Klobuchar.
Klobuchar. And say Amy gets it. That's her first name, Amy, right?
Right.
Then that should be it.
I don't think she'll get it.
She will never get it.
Doesn't look
Frankly,
like it right now. Doesn't look like it right now.
Doesn't
Well,
look like it.
Well, you know what she's doing right now, don't you? You understand what she's doing right now, right? She's running for vice president. That's what she's doing.
Yeah, I see
Okay.
that.
But I'm just saying, if it was her that got anointed,
Right.
I expect Bernie people to go out there and fight for her just like they fought for Bernie. You see, it's not about
Only if the process through which she got the nomination was fair.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's
Just.
the main thing. See, that is the main thing. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if they're going to let me in, but I plan on going to the state Democratic committee and basically find out what I can do to help the party, not any particular candidate. Now, I let my feelings be known. I like Bernie's way of looking at things. However, I am for the Democratic nominee. Now, let me throw something else at you. This business about the health care, all right, fully funded.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? before you get into that. I think the onus for, that enough people didn't come out and vote in 2016 should not be just on Bernie and the progressives and the Green Party or whatever.
Oh, it's not.
The onus for that is also on the Democrats. There are almost as many independents as there are Democrats or Republicans. And the reason for that is because starting in the 1990s, Democratic Party tacked towards the center. It got rid of labor, it got rid of the left, it didn't support progressives as much, and that is the problem that we're living with. That's why there are so many independents who didn't come out and vote in 2016. And that's part of the onus for that is on the Democrats and the Republicans as well.
All right, let's look at from as of right now. This business about fully government, that's all right, fully covered health care by the government. There are a lot of working people. I know quite a few working class people, all right, not the so-called elite, but working class folks, they don't want that. They don't want the government controlling their health care. Now, what is your answer to that?
Well, according to the people that have campaigned here, I'm not talking for everybody else, but in New York, people love the idea of a universal health care because it's something that they don't got to pay out of their pockets. As a college student, I was a college student. I met a lot of people that were on health care that they had to pay out of their pockets, and they were in debt too. So with universal health care, we wouldn't have to pay money out of pocket for certain things like
you also wouldn't have to go through like the bureaucracy of going through a private company. It'd just be publicly owned for everyone. And isn't that what democracy is supposed to be? People powered institutions. And if healthcare is something that we all need, right? We're all gonna get sick one day. We're all gonna need to go to the doctor. So shouldn't it just be a public service for everyone, available through the government? And it should just be all covered for everyone, no matter the class, gender, status, ethnicity, race. It should just be for everyone.
Well, I'm from Wisconsin, and I talk like this. And I got a wife, and I got 3 kids, and I have a good union plan. Why do you want me to give that up?
Bob, I came out of the union movement. The unions spend 80% of their bargaining time. I was CWA Local 1101 retiree. Unions spend 80% of their bargaining time bargaining for health care. Just think what they could achieve, what we could achieve, union rights and increased union rights and increased union membership if we didn't have to bargain 80% of our time on that. Just on that alone, it would be, the Medicare for All would help us. So
every economist that I have read so far here in New York has said that it will really blow out our deficit. Okay, we're talking what I think somebody said $32 billion or something. Trillion, yeah, a huge amount. And then you talk about everybody going to college for free. Okay, I think that's the way that we should go. But see, just like I said earlier, we're New Yorkers, all right? Even Republicans from New York and New Jersey are prone to spend government money, okay? That's in our DNA because we are the American story. We are the ethnics, all right? We came from over in Europe. We were dragged from Africa, okay? We're into that. But we're not running for president of New York. We're running for president of the United States. And I can tell you right now, I've lived in the South. I know the South. I was stationed down there. My mother was from down there. My late wife was from down there. Folks down there, they are afraid of anytime you say government. That they're afraid of that. Okay? What are you going to do to convince those people? In the 8 months we got left? 7 months?
Well, actually, with the recent polls in the South, in Texas, Bernie is doing really good in Texas, and he's #1 from what I've heard. And I think, Bernie's speaking to the working class people, no matter what the color of the skin is or what's their identity or whatever, or the religion. He's getting to that, especially with universal health care and free college tuition, universal college. It's something, people really want. It's something, it is a new idea that was brought up in 2016, and the people were, they really want that. And I think it's something that could happen here in America. If it could happen in other countries around the world, and it can't happen in America, we're the most powerful, then there's something wrong with America,
Well, I'll tell you quite frankly, I agree with you 100%. My God, if they can do it in Ireland,
Yeah.
why can't we do it here?
Exactly.
But see, this is where this whole programming thing comes into play. Because Americans are programmed to think against their own self-interest. Remember the book came out, What's the Matter with Kansas? Or something like that?
Yep.
See, the idea that anybody that makes less than $100,000 a year with a family votes for Republicans, that in itself is insane. But Americans, unfortunately, especially in certain parts of the country, they go with this idea, well, I could be the millionaire that they're trying to squeeze taxes out of. And people think like that. Why do you think you have so many people down south? If you say Democrat, they start having diarrhea. And these are working class people. I'm arguing with a guy that has no teeth in his mouth because he has no kind of health plan or anything like that. And I'm saying, well, this is for you. This will help you. Well, that's too much government. That's too much socialism, blah, blah, blah. And that's all these silly people say. What are you going to do about that?
Well, I think that when they say too much socialism, I think that's where we have to re-educate people and let them know that socialism is not communism. Communism has actually never existed in the world. It's never been a government.
Yeah, it's never been a communist government.
Yeah, never in the world.
history.
But socialism, what we mean by socialism is having more of a say in government, more of a people power thing. Literally what Bernie Sanders is, not me, us. And the same thing with like the healthcare, public universities and everything. And there's something about saying universal that just creates a spark in people's head. And when you say like universal pre-K, like we have that in New York, universal pre-K, and everyone's like, yeah.
Okay, see, I would advise
Yeah.
folks in the Bernie campaign, don't use New York as an example. Seriously. Because, especially like when you go down south, a lot of those folks have been programmed to automatically hate New York. You know what? They feel, and if you're from down south, or if you're down south and you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry, but it's true. They honestly feel that New York is a place that's run by blacks and Hispanics, that is policed by Irish and a few Italians, and that it's owned by Jewish people. That's what those crazy, I'm trying to watch my language here, but that's what a lot of those foolish people actually believe that. And it's so sad.
Well, then we need to take a bus to the south and go canvass there for Bernie and talk to them. And talk to them about our experiences with them.
I think that's a very good idea. I think what's necessary, and I'm going to bring that up to these mainstream big fish in the Democratic Party. You need to get a bus and you need to go to the South and campaign for the Democrat, period. And that ideas like health care, education are not bad things, see? But we're talking about right now, okay? Another point, what is this thing with this business in the Middle East? How does he feel?
Before we get into that, I just want one comment on that, is that one reason I know that Bernie is the best candidate to beat Trump is that Bernie in 2016, and if you take a look at New York State as an example. I hate to use New York, but I know that the best. So every county except for 3 north of Westchester was won by Bernie in the primaries and then by Trump in the general election. So Bernie can take enough votes away from Trump to beat him in the rural areas. None of the other Democrats have that base in the rural areas that Bernie does. He's really strongly supported there. When he went down to West Virginia, the same thing happened. So he does have that base of support there, and that's what we're building upon. I mean, if you look what is changing in this primary, Bernie in 2016 did not have a huge number of black support. Now he does. He's got a strong base in the black support in both in areas of the South as well too. He's beginning to build, and around the country. In the Latino support, look at Latinos in labor in Nevada.
Yeah.
That's what's making Bernie.
I understand that.
Probably going to win that thing in
I understand
Nevada.
that, but that's
so
because
but I'm saying that's helping to build, and it's going to build for the general election as well too.
well, I hope I hope you're right, but as talking in terms of the here and now, going forward, you ever watch? You ever take a look at one of those Trump rallies? I'm
all
sure
the
you
time,
have.
all the time on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, I call them lynch mobs because that's what they remind me of.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you get
Scary.
through to people like that?
Bernie has a way. He's talked to him. Like I said, when he went down to West Virginia voted for Trump. He went down there and he rallied people, and they really responded to him very well because they knew he was genuine. He was not bullshitting them
Okay.
like
now,
some politicians can.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I got your point there. What happens, like I said, with this business in the Middle East?
Okay.
What's his stand up on our position in the Middle East? Does he want us to just run away, or?
No, I think Lou should answer this question. I'm not
Yeah.
the right person to answer.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, Lou.
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
All right, fair enough. His position is he wants to end endless wars. That's his position for all over the world, but especially in the Middle East. If we look what happened when we went into Iraq, look what's happened when we went into Afghanistan. It's been disasters ever since. So he needs, we need to deal with them diplomatically, not militarily. And I don't have to tell you that. Military, that's not their thing to win over people's hearts and minds. You know what I mean? That's not what the military is for. Right?
Yes and no, because we, from the days of Caesar,
Right.
all right, the legions always had two duties. One, to fight. The second one was to maintain.
Right.
Now, how does he feel about Israel grabbing more Palestinian land? What is his?
He's against that.
Okay.
He supports both Israelis and Palestinians' right to exist, and to prosper. And taking over the West Bank is not helping Israel. It's making it an oppressive state. It's not helping democracy or helping the people, and it's only creating more and more enemies. So if you're going to ever have peace in the Middle East, two sides are going to have to get together and talk. And Bernie is in favor of peace. So he's the strongest anti-war candidate. I mean, on a lot of things domestically, Warren's and his positions are similar on a lot of things domestically. But in terms of terms of war, whatever, she's right there with the other centrist Democrats. So he's really strongly anti-war.
Now, see, here goes another thing that Bernie's going to be attacked upon, and that is that he is not willing to defend the United States no matter what it takes.
No.
I'm telling you what the
No, I
opposition
understand
is
what they're
do.
going to say. No, good point. Sorry.
See?
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's quite all right. And see, that's what worries me about, another thing that worries me about Bernie, because he doesn't have that kind of background. Okay? I have more of a background in military and diplomatic affairs than he does. And that worries me. I know he was a U.S. Senator, but as far as the intricacies, okay, why A is B, and so on. What is he going to do? What happens?
But
as
the
far as
question is also,
military
why
background-
do you
Hold a second.
Go ahead.
why do you need military experience to run for president? Why do you have to check a certain number of boxes to run for president? Shouldn't anyone just run?
No.
I mean, Bernie was a senator,
Right.
so he has a history in politics. Bernie was also, I think, a mayor.
Congressman.
In a small little town in Vermont, yeah.
So
I know
he
that.
has experience with the locals.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been consistent with everything he's been saying throughout the years, and even on to now, he's saying the same things, fighting for civil
He's
rights.
always been on the right side
Yeah.
of history. Always.
Yeah.
He knows what he's saying. I
Yeah,
think what he's saying
Why-
is right.
but
And just
the-
like Bloomberg does have a
Yeah.
history in the military,
Yeah.
and so does Klobuchar.
Warren doesn't have a history
Warren
in the
doesn't have a
military.
history of that. I mean,
Okay, here goes.
Right.
Here
But
goes.
Bernie was on the Veterans Affairs Committee in the Senate.
Yeah.
He
I'm not
he
saying
helped-
anything
he helped-
against
no, no,
him.
but I'm saying he helped write a bill with John McCain in terms of reaching across to the aisle.
I know all about that bill.
Right.
I'm
So,
a vet. I
so I'm
understand
saying,
that.
yeah, but they say, Bernie didn't do anything. He couldn't reach across it. Well, he reached across the aisle and many times
Oh, you're
with Republicans
okay, I'm not-
to work with Republicans. So I'm saying he
All
has
right,
that
Lou.
breadth of experience.
I am not paying any attention to that nonsense that Hillary wrote. Quite frankly, she needs to, if she's not going to be supportive of all the candidates, she needs to go sit in the corner someplace, to be quite frank about it.
I appreciate that.
uh,
But the reason it did come about, though, is because the establishment is seeing a threat from Bernie. They're seeing that he's growing, that his support is growing, and he could actually win this thing. So
Yeah.
now they got scared.
Well, no,
First they sent Warren.
Louis-
Wait, let me just finish. First they sent Warren against Bernie. That didn't work. Then they sent Hillary against Bernie. That didn't work. Who's next? The attacks are going to increase as he's become more and more successful. That's just politics.
Okay.
So,
That's the problem. All right. Those last few words that you just used to me, that is the problem, because I'm using this show, doing what I'm doing, because I want people to understand. You folks have to understand. This is not just politics. I have a young lady that calls me about every other week, and she's an avid listener. Her and her friends. She's a working class young lady. I believe she's in projects right here in Harlem, over on the east side. And I really pay attention to the questions that she asks me, or the comments that she makes when she calls. Sometimes she leaves a message on my phone. And see, I try to get across to her that this thing is not just politics as usual. We're fighting for our lives here as a nation. We want to make sure that a cuckoo like me can have a show like this where people can come and speak freely. Now, I guarantee you, if you do or say anything that helps Donald Trump's opportunity to get back into the White House for another 4 years, not only me, but none of us who do this type of work, we're not going to be here because it's not going to be allowed. Because in his mind, the president can do anything that he feels hurts the security of the United States. And you sitting up there, me sitting up here, you sitting here saying this and that, if that upsets him, if that annoys him, then he can say, well, we have to really crack down on cable television. I sound like a nut, right?
No.
Well, guess what he said last week? Guess what he said last week? He is angry as hell at PBS because remember that PBS young lady that was interviewing his Secretary of State, Pompeo, who I am mightily ashamed of. No, he was in Navy, he was Army. But he went to West Point, one of our service academies. You got the Air Force Academy, you've got the Naval Academy at Annapolis, and you have West Point being the oldest. As an enlisted military guy, I'm used to looking up to men and women who have that credential of going to Annapolis, of going to West Point. Pompeo seems to have forgotten, and this is another one of Trump's buddies there. He forgot the whole thing about the honor code, that you don't cheat, that you don't lie. And he has been lying and cheating nonstop ever since he became part of Trump's cabinet. And that hurts me. And this young lady from PBS, she called him out on that. That's where he blew up. And after the interview was over, then he starts yelling and cursing at her, gets the map, show me Ukraine on the map. And she showed exactly where it was. Because this woman has a master's degree in international relations. But see, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And then Trump hears about it and says, we really need to look at cutting the funding for PBS. So if he has no qualms talking about shutting down PBS, how much do you think he would sweat about killing a place like this? See, this is what I'm trying to say to folks when we talk about playing politics. And that's why now I'm on the other side of the fence. Remember in the beginning of this conversation, I was down, I was against him totally. Now it's going to seem different because now I'm going to say this is why mainstream Democrats are so jumpy. This is why our friends at the DNC, some of them who do have good hearts, this is why they're so scary about Bernie. Because they understand the stakes. And it's not just about the Democratic Party. It's about what kind of country we're going to have.
Absolutely.
And see, this is what people need to understand. It ain't just about politics, folks. It's about your life, the life of your grandchildren. You're going to have a guy like that who will cut back on your freedom of speech, cut back on your food stamps, cut back on any programs that you have, that you need to help survive. And that goes for black, white, red, brown, yellow. Doesn't make a difference. Because when he talks about cutting back on Social Security, he promised that he would never cut back on Social Security. Trump did. Now he's over there at Davos in Switzerland saying, yeah, we're going to look at cutting back on Social Security, on Medicaid, on Medicare. So this is why people are so antsy. And this is why they are so afraid of a repeat of 2016. Where, like I said, unfortunately, a lot of Bernie people, they did a very bad thing. They put us in the crosshairs of a maniac that also thinks he's Julius Caesar. And I know Hillary is also responsible for that debacle. Nobody but a dummy will come out of the White House saying they were flat broke and expect to go and make a hit with working class people. Hillary has a very bad problem of putting her foot in her mouth. She's good at appointments, but she is not good when it comes to electoral politics. I understand that. What we need to do, we all need to chill out with each other while we still have a country to chill out with each other in. Okay?
I agree with you that there is a real danger with Trump of fascism. He's taking us down that road.
There you go.
So and all our liberties could be gone.
Exactly.
So we definitely need to be Trump. And like we were saying, we think Bernie is the best candidate to do that. So,
well, we will see. We will see. But I am very concerned about his, in terms of international experience. Now, Bloomberg, well, you could say he was mayor of New York for 3 terms. And that in itself is an international experience because this is an international city, number one.
Remember, you said that we shouldn't take New York as an example of the whole country. Being mayor of New York should not be enough.
I see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
And that
Bernie worked in the federal level.
Right, I understand that. But see, in many respects, I mean, United Nations is here. You have to make intimate contacts with leaders from overseas. Being mayor of New York. And I hear that. I have a problem. I have a problem with Obama not having military experience. But that's because from where I sit, we have basically been at war since 1950. Korea, Vietnam, this mess in the Middle East. And I think it's more helpful when you have someone that has some experience and has an idea of what is required, okay? Troop rotations, things like that. Obama did something I'm still pissed off about. He stopped the public showing of the boys coming back in boxes over here at the the air base over here at Fort Dix. There's an Air Force base. There's the name escapes me. McGuire, right? And you can't see the caskets coming off the big plane anymore.
That's right.
And I think that's wrong because you are putting Americans out of touch with the military. And you can't do that when you are a world power, okay, which unfortunately has been called upon, whether rightly or wrongly, has been called upon to use force on a lot of occasions. I'll put it to you like this. I'll split the difference with you. I think it's helpful when you have a president that has military experience. But you also have to remember, most of the military people that Trump had around him, with the exception of Pompeo, they either got fired or ran the hell out of there. So that shows you something else about Trump. But getting back to the main thing, where Bernie is in trouble, and that is his idea for the expenditures out of the federal, out of the federal pocketbook. And that's what has a lot of middle class, or used to be middle class people, that has them upset. Well, why should I pay to help somebody else's kid go to college? How do you guys answer that?
Well, because college should be for everybody. It shouldn't be just for one person.
They're also going to get free college.
Yeah, they're also going to get free college. And college is, college shouldn't be just for a certain group of people. College should be for everybody, because if you get a college education, it can help you get a job and things like that,
Okay.
And what else do you
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Before it was high school education, and then you could get a job. Now that's like just standard. Now you need a college education.
Right.
So why not make it accessible, right?
Okay.
Because you want everyone to have an opportunity to go up the social ladder, to have better opportunities for jobs, for everything. And
how about millionaires' kids? Should they be able to take advantage of this?
Yeah,
if one person gets it, then everyone should get it.
Millionaires and billionaires' kids will be going to private college. They'll be sending
Right.
kids to private, so they won't be taking advantage.
But if they
Right,
want to-
right.
This
This
That's
would be
my
for
answer to
public,
the
for
objection.
public
But
institutions.
if they
free
want
for
to,
everybody.
let them go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let them go.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, this would bring more attention to public institutions as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether about so-called, I hate to use this damn term, illegal immigrants. I don't like that term. But so people know what we're talking about. Folks who, and according to Trump, have been in the country illegally. Should they be able to
If
take
you're
advantage of
living
this?
in the United States,
Yes.
one
they
day, 1 hour, then you're part of this country. Then
Yeah.
you should have the opportunity to go to
see,
college.
this is where you guys get hung up on. This is what and I'll say it, the ignorant rednecks, okay? This is where they're going to try and hang you folks up on. When you say, yeah, Bernie, he wants the illegals to be able to go to college for free. He also wants them to be able to get free medical care. Now, how you guys answer that?
No
Well,
person is illegal. First
Yeah,
of
no
all.
person is illegal.
First of all.
And if you're calling one person illegal, then we're all illegal,
Yeah, then
because
we're
we
all
all
illegal.
came from immigrants. We all
Exactly.
came from people who immigrated from different countries. And you know what? You're gonna get free college, free healthcare. Why shouldn't they? It's not only gonna go to a certain group.
It's a
gonna go
human
to
right
It's
for
a
all
human
of us
right.
to get free college and healthcare for all. It's a human right. It's not
Yeah.
a privilege
And then
thing.
this guy over here with no teeth, remember my friend from Mississippi with no teeth?
Okay.
He's going, well, I'm an American. This is American money you're talking about. Why should I take American money and give it to an illegal?
Because they're American too.
American too. We're
Yeah.
all American. This is the American opportunity.
Yeah.
This is a land of opportunity,
Really,
freedom, and
how would
yeah.
you define American? Is American
Well, the way
even
they
able
would
to
find
define?
it is somebody that is legally born in the United States.
Well, from back in history, in the sentence, like people who came to call themselves American now, come from land that was taken from Mexicans, land that was taken from Native Americans, or from people who were brought from Africa to become slaves. They did not have a choice. People who were told from the Bracero program, Latinos, come over here, you're going to work, and then they were kicked out, but then they had nowhere else to go. These people did not have a choice. They all became American. Everyone who comes as an immigrant now, they come because they're escaping the issues that they're facing, or they're escaping violence, they're escaping poverty, and they come here for a better opportunity. They're all Americans. We all can.
You mean they're not all criminals and rapists?
No.
Oh,
No.
goodness. I mean, look, I know it sounds crazy, but that's what they're saying, okay? And I hope that my questions...
They're saying that to create division.
I hope that my
Yeah.
questions are sufficiently nasty and crazy enough. But you gotta remember, you are dealing with a president He just signed that executive order. What's the date? Friday?
Just Friday.
I think it was Monday. You know, if you are living in Senegal and West Africa, don't come over here to visit if your wife is pregnant. She better not be like 9 or 8 months pregnant. Put it that way. They won't let you in because they don't want people coming here and giving birth so that their children can become American. Because they say that creates anchor babies. Like his wife, that's what she is, an anchor baby.
Instead of deporting immigrants, we should be welcoming them here.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, this country is a country built upon immigrants. We're all immigrants, except if you're a slave enforced here, or if you were Native American who originally lived here. Everybody else is an immigrant.
Okay,
So
I dig where
that's-
you're coming from,
Mm-hmm.
but you guys have to have these answers. Because if you think that I'm rough, well, go out to try to talk this in Arkansas
Absolutely.
or Missouri and hear what these people say.
Sure.
They're going to say, oh, well, you guys, you all seem to be Hispanic,
I-
so you're going to be on the side
don't-
of the lawbreakers.
I don't think that you're rough. I think that you're saying things that are very valid and things that people are going to ask. And those are just basic concerns that everyone's going to have, and we, as humans, we're going to think differently, and we should be able to come together. But you know what's the problem? The problem is that Trump and many other politicians just like him have created that division. They've created that rhetoric among the country where that some are on the right side, some are the bad side. This is good, this is bad, this is black, this is white. And that's not how it should be. We shouldn't be looking at the country as a division in class, a division in race, a division in ethnicity. It should just be a collective. And that's what Bernie's doing. That's why he does universal health care, because it's a collective, it's for everyone. He's doing tuition-free colleges for everyone because it's a collective, it's for everyone. It's movement, not me, us. Us literally means all of us, no matter where we come from.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. You guys say that to me, right? That excites me, all right? You know, I'm ready to, charge the barricades and everything. But just like I've been saying, you have people in this country, when you say those things that you just said, that makes them want to charge the barricades in the opposite direction. And I want to see you guys get your message out.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything that I can to get that message out. Not just because it's Bernie, but because I want to see all the Democratic candidates have that message. But see, I tell you quite frankly, I just don't know. I really don't.
Bob, can I change the subject for 1 second?
Go ahead,
Okay.
please.
Last night we were at a fundraiser for a young woman who's a comedian. She really did a wonderful comedy
We're gonna wrap it up
routine
in
there.
about 5 minutes,
Okay,
so.
just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Lauren Ashcraft. She's running for Congress in our 12th congressional district here.
Okay.
She's a strong Bernie supporter, and I am supporting her and helping her in her campaign any way I can. I
Excellent.
just figured I'd point it. It's
No,
a little
that's
small. The
excellent.
button, you probably can't see the name because it's kind of a small button. But we're getting T-shirts.
Get
so,
a bigger button.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting T-shirts. We're getting T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
see-
didn't make the button, believe me.
Okay. But see, this is the problem. Bernie is gonna have to fight, through the nonsense. He's gonna have to fight through the caricatures, crotchety old Jewish angry professor.
The thing is, Bernie will be fighting, but Bernie will have the people fighting with him. The other candidates will not have that. See, that's the thing. This is a people movement. It's not about the money. It's not about the things, the objects. It's about the people. Having the people on your side. Making the people, be heard for like maybe a lot of people being heard for the first time, and that's what Bernie has done, making them feel like this is the moment, this is the time where we are going to get change, and Bernie has the people, and that's how we're
See,
going
the
to
only thing, like I say,
Yeah.
that's a good attitude to a point, but the only thing that scares folks is he might not win in the convention. It might be Bloomberg. Bloomberg has the money to put his message out there, and
Money from his pocket.
whatever. But we want to know, basically, are you going to basically stab the Democratic Party? I'm not going to say stab us in the back, but stab us in the front if Bernie loses the damn convention. That's the the
My
primary.
answer-
That's
Bernie,
the problem.
My answer to
As
that-
Bernie said,
Okay.
said just what we, when Bloomberg had these, says, just what we need is another billionaire. If Bloomberg was really serious, he would have gotten in at the
Oh,
very
he's
beginning.
serious.
No, yeah, he's serious to a
serious.
degree. But I mean, if he was, he would have carved out a section of the electorate bigger than he's going to get. If he had come in from the very
No, hold on a
beginning.
second,
So if he,
I
the
understand
guy,
what
the guy just
Bloomberg is
recently
doing.
became a Democrat. He's not real. You know, they knocked Bernie. He's not really a Democrat. I don't think he's not polling in huge numbers. So I don't really see
No,
it going anywhere.
his numbers are going up.
Yeah, a little bit, but not enough to make an impact yet.
If
Hey,
Bernie
we'll see.
continues
We'll see.
on
We'll
his
see.
way,
Yeah,
well, see,
we'll see.
like I say, that's the thing that people want, need to understand, and they need to know that if Bernie does not win our primary, that is not the end of the world.
Nope.
I think
Because if you guys think it is, then basically what you're saying is, Trump, come on back for round 2.
honestly, I think Bernie won't win the primary unless there's something goes on, something crazy happens with the super delegates, or they try to cheat us off.
We don't have to. The power of the super delegates has been cut down so much.
And Bernie did
thanks
that
to
the
Bernie.
last time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thanks to Bernie.
did that the last time. Yeah. They can't. The superdelegates don't vote in the first round.
It's second
so if
round.
somebody
Second.
wins
Yeah.
the first round, the superdelegates won't even come into play. If it goes to the second round, then we got to deal with that. But at this point, we'll see. Bernie's surging like crazy.
Yeah.
If his momentum keeps building, forget about it. This thing could be over early.
Well,
and Bernie the winner.
Yeah.
I'm just like I say. I don't want to see. See, I don't want this. This is where you have to look at it as politics, because I don't want to see all this hope built up, and then the guy loses. He could lose very well to Biden, and I'll tell you quite frankly, I expect Biden to win the primary when all this is said and done, because enough people out there are going to say, why are we going to support the guy that Trump wants us to support, instead of supporting the guy that Trump is genuinely afraid of?
I'd like to
now,
answer that
hold on
one.
a second.
Yeah,
No,
sure,
hold on a
sure,
second.
sure.
On the other hand, Biden is not doing a good a job as he needs to show that he is able to stand up to Donald Trump. And therein lies the danger for Biden. Okay? You were talking about the blacks in South Carolina starting to come to Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the way that they're coming to Bernie. I don't want to see it happen the way it's happening now. Because the way it's happening now is because Biden is starting to look incredibly weak. And that's not good. We got to leave that convention
Then how can you pick him
unified.
to win if he's looking incredibly weak? If he was doing well, I mean, he's not winning any of the early states except possibly South Carolina, and even that is going to be a close one.
Okay, well,
So-
hold on a second. I have
so-
to get rid of the
so-
comment.
yeah, no,
I have to shut it off
Sure,
here.
sure.
Well, folks, this is what it's about. Okay, I tried to get out some of the issues as best I could. I wanted you folks to take a look at it, and I want you all to understand that this is not politics as usual. If I have done anything this afternoon, I hope I have gotten across to you that we're talking about the life and death of this country. We're not talking about, oh, well, the politicians will say this and they'll say that and they're all alike. And no, don't let anyone play those games with you. This is the real deal here. You have a man, what's the name of the movie? The Man Who Would Be King. And that's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with Donald Trump, a man that doesn't believe that the Constitution is for him, that he can do what he feels like doing. That's not why this country was founded. I'm not getting into how it was founded, but as to the why, it wasn't founded so that one guy can take control over the entire government. And that's what Trump wants to do. And we have to be able to stop him from doing that. We have to be prepared to fight for this country. I took an oath. 4 times I took the oath. No, actually 5 times when I was in the military. And now you have to take an oath to yourself. And that is that you're going to stand by your country and what it stands for. We don't want to see 2016 happen again in 2020. We want to be able to live in America where it is free, where people have the right to think and feel as they please, and where our country will do its best to provide education, health care. In other words, it will do its best to take care of all of its people, like every other country in the world. So folks, you've got plenty of food for thought. I will see you next week. And this is Bob Gums, the Concerned Forum. And check that little box if you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you very much. God bless. See you next week.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
The point I was trying to finish is that no, I don't believe anyone has ever won the nomination without winning in the early states. And Biden is really shaky there in the early states. He may not win any. So, we'll see.
Okay, now
We'll
on,
see,
on the national level, see, here goes the problem that Biden has. On the national level, he's beating all the other Democrats.
Oh, by the way, there was a poll recently that Bernie is ahead of him in the national level. There was a poll recently.
I'm gonna have to check
and
that
more than
out.
one. More than one.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
In fact, I can give you the polls which show Bernie leading. It was about 4 weeks ago. I think we mentioned it last time on the show. 4 weeks ago, there was a PBS. What was the other one? PBS Maris poll. About 4 weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, there was a CBS poll. Then there was the what was the latest one? I forget. A Reuters poll recently, and then there was just another one that came out just now. CNN,
I need to
whatever.
get- I need
so
to be more
they
up to
all
date,
check
though.
them out. Check them out. Yeah, definitely. Bernie is surging ahead. So we'll see. I mean, you could be right. Biden could win this thing. It's not going to be an easy thing for Bernie to win it. It's going to be a fight, but we'll see. As
Yeah,
folks
we
say,
will.
stay tuned, right? Stay tuned.
Yeah, I will tell you quite frankly, I am just not happy about this whole thing.
How it's going down, huh? Yeah. Oh yeah, the mics. I almost forgot to take my mic off.
Oh, I heard you were
You can
going
just
to
drop
run
the
for
mic
Congress.
off.
I heard you were going to run for Congress a while back.
I'm still, I don't know, I have about